Hi, welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name's Warren Shute. I'm here today with Paul, who's going to ask me some questions on topic of the day. What is it today, Paul? What do you have for me?
I thought we should be discussing JISAs today with the year end coming up. I thought we could give people a little overview on what the options are. I know there's a lot of them out there now, so I thought we could kind of run through them and get your thoughts on what the right ones are for people.
Okay, so first up, you spoke about the tax year end. So tax year end is the 5th of April. So make sure you allow enough time to physically open the account, transfer money, things like that. So don't leave it to the last few days. So right now is the best time to physically take some action, call up your provider, go online and sort out your investments. So ISAs used to be really simple. Predecessor ISA, TESAs and PEPs, nice and simple. And over the years, ISAs have become progressively more complex. Now we have 6 different main types of ISAs, actually more than 6, but 6 that we're going to cover today. And most people think there's only maybe 1 or 2. So we've got 6 we're going to cover today. And if you're listening to this, see if you can write down what 6 we're going to cover, see if you actually know what they are. Okay. So where should we start? Should we start with the most common? Makes sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the most common of all ISAs generally is the cash ISA. The cash ISA is a deposit-based ISA. It allows you to, I guess, go back one step. An ISA is purely a tax wrapper. So it goes around the investment. So a cash ISA is like a bank account, and the ISA wrapper goes around it. Most common, you put £20,000 in there. Anyone can open one of these from 16 years old and over, and they're straightforward. So as it says on the tin, it's like a bank account, but the interest is tax-free. A couple of challenges we got with these is, one, since the issue of the personal saving allowance, the personal savings allowance is a tax-free amount of money each individual can get from their savings money, interest, and that's £1,000 for basic rate taxpayers, and it's £500 for higher rate taxpayers, and it's taken away for additional taxpayers. ISAs cash ISAs aren't quite as attractive as they used to be, because £1,000 of interest in today's interest rate environment is a phenomenal amount of money. Okay? So you're probably looking at nigh on £100,000 saved to generate £1,000 of interest, if not £50,000 at least. So they're not quite as attractive as they used to be, mainly because of the personal savings allowance. Secondly, RPI, a good measure of inflation. I know the government swing towards CPI, but RPI is a very broad index, hit 4%. Now, there are no cash ISAs that I'm aware of that return 4%. So basically, you're really losing money with cash ISAs in real terms, eroding with inflation. If you remember the 5-step financial planning process we go through with the money plan, we always want to have in our foundation, step number 3, emergency reserve. And a cash ISA is a great place to hold anything from 3 months to 12 months of your expenditure in reserve. And if you're going to hold it in cash ISA is a good place any, but don't be swayed over a cash ISA versus a higher interest rate. You're better off going for a higher interest rate, particularly with this personal savings allowance, means that all interest is tax-free up to £1,000 or £500 for a basic rate for a high rate taxpayer. That kind of cover it off.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So if cash has become less attractive, it seems, at least in my lifetime, that stocks and shares and investment ISAs have become more popular and more widespread.
Yeah.
So let's cover those off.
Yeah. Okay. So second ISA that was going to cover is the stocks and shares ISA. I refer to it as the investment ISA because you're investing money. And this is become a lot more popular. This kind of replaced the old PEP, personal equity plan. £20,000 allowance, same as the cash ISA. So you've got an overall allowance now, you see, and you can mix and match what you put your money into. But £20,000 allowance in there. And what this is doing is it's sheltering any money from both capital gains, which is very attractive, and also income tax. So a stocks and shares ISA is a lot more attractive nowadays, and particularly for people who are restricted on pension funding. So if you've got limitations on the amount of money you can put into your pension because you're affected by the tapered annual allowance, or you're approaching the lifetime allowance on the amount of money you can save up, ISAs are very attractive, nice and simple things. You put the money into the investment ISA or stocks and shares ISA, and you can buy anything from direct shares, so individual companies, to collective funds or unit trusts or investment trusts. So it's very broad what you can invest in. ETFs, exchange traded funds, very broad what you can invest into. And you can do so in the UK and overseas, so it's great.
Okay, so how do I go about choosing one then? If this is my first step into investment of any level,
Yep.
How do I go about deciding which one to go for, who to go with?
Okay, good question. There's a quote from a jewelry company in America, and it says, "If you don't know jewelry, know the jeweler." Okay, and it's like investing. If you don't understand investing, at least trust the company that's providing the investment platform. Okay? So first of all, you want to go with someone who's got a bit of reputation. We would say that the investment strategy is more important than the actual wrapper itself, because if you're going to go into high charged active funds, the charges are going to erode your returns. So we would suggest you go for some kind of passive arrangement. And when 5 years ago or so, I looked out in the market and there was nowhere really that I would go and put my money onto an investment platform online. So if I wanted to buy an ISA online, I looked around, there was nowhere really that I would personally choose and invest into. So I set up Lexo. So lexo.co.uk is an online investment platform that if you choose, you want to invest into a passive arrangement that I've put together myself. We offer you 10 risk-rated portfolios you could choose from, and you can do it all online at click a button. We have no initial charge whatsoever. So you go in, it costs, so £1,000 gets invested, and there's no tie-in period at all. So it's a great platform, fully automated, and it's backed by ourselves here at Lexington Wealth.
Okay, great. And I guess just finally on that, is there a time frame I should have in mind if I'm investing in an ISA? Is it like other investments where if I'm putting big chunks into the stock market, I know you always say long term is how you need to be thinking. Is that true for a stocks and shares ISA too? Yeah,
definitely. So remember, the ISA is purely just the wrapper. So it's the investment that really counts. Whenever you're going into the stock market and investing, we see the stock market goes up and it goes down. So happens for the last 10 years, it just seems to keep going up. That has got to come to an end. It will start coming down, but then it will recover again. So we always say have at least 5 years, preferably 7, but at least 5 years if you're going to make a stock market investment. So if you're saving for a home, for example, and you'd like to buy a house in 3 years, a stocks and shares ISA is not the place you want to put the money. You put it into the cash ISA. If you're looking to supplement your retirement income, or you have young children and thinking, well, actually in 10 years time or 11 years time, they're going to be at university, I need to try and put something away for them to help them for university, a stocks and shares ISA is a great place to consider to invest your money.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Okay, I think that covers that one off. What's number 3 on the list?
Okay, so number 3, we're going to come and do junior ISAs. So a junior ISA is an ISA specifically designed for children. Okay, so this allows parents, godparents, friends, even the child themselves, if they're saving some money, to save money in a tax-free environment, just like the stocks and shares ISA or the cash ISA, but it's in the name of the child. Now, there's some pros and cons around this. One of the benefits is it engages your children in disciplined saving. So you're educating your child from a young age. It's habits that make us and habits that break us. If you teach them good habits at a young age, they're hopefully going to have better habits in adulthood. But these are ISAs specific for the child. The downside of it is the child at age 18, it becomes an adult, normal stocks and shares ISA. Okay, so there's pros and cons around it, but I like them, even if it's for more modest amounts of money, to engage your child into the education of saving and investing and get them to understand that you need to do this. Even if adults, maybe you haven't done it as much as you should have done yourself, it doesn't mean you shouldn't teach your children to do the same thing.
Okay, is there a different limit? Because we've talked about 20k for the cash and stocks and shares. Is that the same for the junior?
Yeah, no, it's not the same. So as an adult, you have a £20,000 limit, and you can mix and match where it goes. For the child, it's £4,128. Why
Okay.
£128? I don't know, but it's £4,128. It goes up each year, but that's for your child. So that's in addition to you as an adult, £20,000 allowance.
Okay. And are there limits on accessing the money? Does the child have to access the money? Can the person who started the account? How does that work?
Okay, so there's no access to the money until the child is 18. So it's a tied up money until the child's 18, and then at 18, the money reverts to the child's name. Okay, so now as an adult, and then it's instantly accessible.
Okay, so you put your £4,000 a year away, and then when they're 18, that all goes to them.
That's it. So what you might find is there are children. I'm just looking at some notes here. There are some children born between September 2002 and January 2011. So they're going to be between 7 and 16 years old. They would have been given the predecessor, which is the Child Trust Fund. So both Ollie and Isabella, my children, had the Child Trust Funds. They were very similar, but what you found is they were a little bit more restrictive because less providers offered them. And the providers that did just were a little bit more restricted. Lots of providers now offer the Junior ISA, and a Child Trust Fund can be transferred very simply into a Junior ISA. Okay? So if you've got a Child Trust Fund and you want to start funding the Child Trust Fund again, just consider you might want to transfer it, or at least look into transferring it across into a Junior ISA.
Okay, great. Okay, number 4.
Number 4 on the list is the LISA. We've got JISA, we're now going to LISA. So LISA is a lovely one. The LISA is fantastic for anyone between age 18 and up to age 40. It's a specific band of people, age 18 up to age 40. And it's a brilliant ISA that has to be taken out in those age groups. So if you're 40 or over, you can't do it. You're below 18, you can't do it. But what if you take one out in that age band there, you can fund up to £4,000 a year, okay? Plus you get a 25% bonus from the government. And that bonus can get paid at the moment at the end of this tax year, then it'll get paid monthly. And the money that you save up is going to have to go towards one of two things, either the purchase of your home or your retirement. You can use the money in a LISA, a lifetime individual savings account, to purchase your main home up to the value of £450,000, or at retirement age 60 onwards. But this is the first time this kind of criteria and the two-pronged approach has been introduced to ISAs. And in the industry, we kind of feel that this is the way pension or retirement planning will eventually go. Okay? So you can invest £4,000 plus you get a 25% bonus, so £5,000 can go in. You must take it out from age 18 up to age 40. Once you've taken it out, you can fund this every year, all the way through until you're 50. Okay? It can be used for one or two purposes. It can either be used to purchase your first home, price £450,000 or less, or it can be used for your retirement income, age 60 or older. So lots of little bits of criteria in there, makes it a little bit more complex. But once you've got that narrowed down, and we'll put all the details in the show notes, in the article that we're going to write together, it's fantastic. It's a great piece of kit. It's fantastic. If you're looking to buy your first home, it's brilliant. I did some number crunching, and I worked out if you took out the full LISA allowance from age 18 and funded it every year until age 50, you'd get £32,000 in government bonuses.
Wow. And that's free money, effectively.
Free money. And remember, in addition to that, it's invested. So it's like a stocks and shares ISA. So it's invested. So on top of that, you've got all the growth as well. And one would hope that the money would double every 10 years. That'd be like a 7% return. So there's some good money to be made with these LISAs. But it's only available for those 18 to age 40s. Okay,
so if I'm in my 20s or 30s right now, and I've got, I don't know, let's say somewhere between 10 and 30 grand, and I'm looking to take out an ISA, and I don't own a home yet, but I want to in the future, should I put the first 4,000 into this before I invest in any other kind of ISA? I mean, there's pretty compelling reasons there.
I say yes. Now, remember, ISA, same as a LISA, is a wrapper. So then you say, where am I going to invest it? So first decision, yes, let's put the 4,000 in. Let's get the £1,000 bonus. We have 5,000. If you're buying the property with somebody else, remember they can do the same. So that's £10,000 you can put away. Okay. Now you need to say, when am I going to buy the house? If you're going to buy the house in the next 5 years, remember, you don't want to be investing it because investments are for 5, 7 years or longer. So really just holding the money on deposit within a LISA is the only thing you can do. It might seem silly because you might think, well, actually I'm going to buy the house in 4 years or 3 years, and that's a long way away. But with stock market investing, we really need time on our side to allow the ups and downs of the stock market to ride out and smooth out.
Okay, but if I have the money, I could put, and it's going to be 10 or 15 years until I buy the house.
Brilliant.
I could put 4,000 in here and then put another 16,000 in another ISA.
Absolutely, yes. 4,000 and you get the other 16,000 there, and then you could even move the 4,000 from the stocks and shares ISA next year into the LISA to get the bonus, and the year after move 4,000 from the stock shares ISA into the LISA and get the bonus if you didn't have other money to do it. So you could drip feed from one ISA to the next.
Fantastic. Okay.
The bonus, the 25% bonus, makes it very, very attractive. It's a great thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's the LISA. What's next? Number 5. Yep.
The fifth one was almost like the LISA's predecessor. It's called the Help to Buy ISA.
Okay.
So the Help to Buy ISA has got a limited shelf life now. So you need to make sure, if you want to take a Help to Buy ISA out, I think it's November this year that is your deadline. November next year, sorry, is your deadline to take it out. So if you want to take a Help to Buy ISA out, this is more of a deposit-based ISA, okay, a bit like the cash ISA. And it gives you the bonuses, but the challenge is the amounts you can invest in them are a lot smaller. Okay, so the amount you can save is £1,200 when you open it, and then £200 a month thereafter. Okay, so the amounts are smaller that you can invest there. The bonuses are the same. It's a cash ISA. It's got a limitation. The house price is £250,000 or less, whereas with the LISA it's £450,000 outside London, and in London it goes to £450,000. So with the Help to Buy ISA, we've got two limits. We've got a London house price of £450,000 and an outside London of £250,000. Whereas the LISA, they got away with that differential and they just said £450,000 anywhere.
Okay, so is there any reason why you'd go for the Help to Buy rather than the LISA?
I don't think so, on the basis that you can invest in cash in a LISA. The Help to Buy ISAs generally were offered by banks and building societies to encourage people onto the housing ladder. But because you can invest in cash with the LISA, I would put money into a LISA over Help to Buy ISA every time. Okay,
fine. All right.
Number 5, and then number 6 is the final one, which is the Innovation ISA. Now, the Innovation ISA was launched to encourage, excuse the pun, innovative investment options. And the main one really that people are using it for is peer-to-peer lending. So there are a number of peer-to-peer lenders out there whereby I would lend my money to a platform, and let's say I lend £1,000. They would break that up into, say, £25 chunks and lend it out to numerous people. Was that 20 people? Throughout maybe companies. And in return, when those people pay interest, that's my growth. It's called peer-to-peer lending. And obviously they break it up into little chunks. So if one of them goes bust or defaults on paying it, I don't lose all of my loan in one go. So the risk with these is a lot higher. I put this down to a risk level of almost the same as a stocks and shares ISA because I don't know the individuals we're lending to. And the other thing to bear in mind with this is it's not covered under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So if there is a default, a provider that goes into default, you potentially lose all of your assets.
Okay.
Okay. So it's great that it gives people, a lot of people compare it to deposit rates because they're paying quite nice returns. Okay. There is a lot of talk, even from the providers, that they're expecting default rates to increase because they're getting bigger, they're taking more people on, more clients on, and also because the economy seems to be changing a little bit. But, you know, the returns seem to be quite nice and our clients have been very happy with them. We don't do them ourselves, but our clients have accessed them directly through these platforms. And the government launched the Innovation ISA that allows you to wrap the ISA wrapper again around this type of investment, so the returns are tax-free for you.
Okay. Is there any limits on these ones?
Yeah, I believe it's £20,000. I think the limit is £20,000 that you can put into these ones. So it's a lot of money, and I certainly wouldn't suggest people putting that level of money in unless their portfolio is significant.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So there are your 6 options. You know, you've got a good range of ISAs, from cash to investments for your children, for your buying a property, and if you want a bit of a pun, to get involved with new investment ideas and what's going on. The nice thing about ISAs, they wrap the gains and the income all tax-free. None of it needs to be declared on your self-assessment or tax return. But like I said at the very beginning, make sure you give yourself time to open these, particularly if you don't have an account with them. Go and check out lexo.co.uk. Some great options there, great portfolios, which can be accessed for the stocks and shares ISA and also the lifetime ISA. And also, if you have enough money with the platform, we'd even do a junior ISA on there as well.
Okay, great. Well, I'm off to check out my options.
Brilliant. That's good. Well, look, thank you everyone for listening. Hope it's been useful today. This was as a result of feedback from a listener wanted to know a bit more about ISAs and things. Please let me know what you'd like to hear. We do intend to cover wills in a lot more detail, power of attorneys, inheritance tax. But if there's anything you would like to know, please give us a shout. I'd love some ideas to do it. And I look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you very much. Take care.